Welcome back. I'm Jair 40, and my guest for today is Reynaldo Soriano. Hi, Coach Soriano.
Coach.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thank you, Coach.
So talk to us about your life. Your life is so amazing. You have done so many great things. You competed over there in Taekwondo for Australia on the national team many, many years ago.
Yes, sir.
And now you also coach at Stanford University with the Taekwondo team. And guess what? I heard somebody told me that you also had written a book.
Oh,
but
yes, sir. Yes,
I don't know.
So before I forget then, Coach, yes, that is true. It's a true, it's not a rumor. And there's a copy for you.
Oh, my
as
goodness.
a present.
Wow. Coach. Wow, this is amazing. So maybe in a few more minutes we can go back into the book. So I want to know how you got started in sports.
It's a funny story, actually. When I was 8 years old, I saw this big poster of one guy doing a flying side kick and as a world champion, and it basically said, that's who I want to be. And so I went home. Once I spoke to my parents and said, hey, I want to do this sport. And what's that? I don't know. It's like this guy's doing a flying side kick. And so I want to do that. Then my parents said, oh, you want to do martial arts? And so basically they said no. So I was devastated for 4 years. I told my parents every day, can I go to Taekwondo now? Can I go to Taekwondo? Finally, getting closer, it was about 12. My mom basically said, okay, let's go. Let's go and we'll sign you up. And that's how it began. And then from there, basically every day, as you know, as a little kid watching martial arts films and ninjas and things like that. And I said, I want to be like these guys. Then I got more involved into competition in 1990. So that was my first competition. And I'm one of those athletes where you need to work hard if you want to be to the top, be at the top. There are different types of athletes where one is talented. I'm not talented. I'm not flexible, but I had to work hard for it. And then during my journey, my coach basically said, well, you're good, but I think there's something missing. And psychologically, you're not there.
Wow.
And so basically from there, I just didn't understand what he was trying to say. So it took a while. And then one day my time came, 1995. It was the best competition I ever had. When you're in the zone and you just feel it. I had 5 fights, won the Australian National Championships. And then from there, I went to my first competition internationally. I went to the Asian Games. It was in Vietnam. And then through there, we basically competed from Vietnam, went to Europe and competed all the major competitions over there. And then the US Open. My first US Open was in 1999, prior to the 2000 Olympics. So it was a really great journey for me, especially being Sydney as a 2000 Olympic host. So everybody was getting ready for that main competition. But during those times too, I had a lot of injuries, a lot of ups and downs, mainly in the injury part. And the worst part is my national coach telling me that forget about being in the Olympics.
What do you mean?
Prior to the Olympics, every athlete has to give their resume, and the resume to show what you've done, and they're going to give it to, they call the AIS, or the Australian Institute of Sport, to give into the OIC. And there and then they have to choose which athlete that has the highest probability of winning. So the one thing that didn't work for me is mainly because of my race. I didn't look Australian enough, and so my coach basically said, unfortunately, because you don't look Australian enough, your chances to be in the Olympics is very slim. Wow. So got heartbroken, devastated, but at the same time, never give up. So I actually train harder than ever. But unfortunately, due to politics, as you would know, in any type of sport, there's always going to be politics, and they already knew there and then who they're going to choose. And so from there, it made me more stronger. And I basically continued. But at that point too, it was starting as well part of my life where is really Taekwondo everything? At one point where I no longer wanted to be number one. Every time I get to the finals, that is it. But in 2002, well, we competed in Korea, stayed in Korea. I met obviously international, not just international athletes, but also tourists. But I met a Canadian guy who was teaching English in Korea. And then through there, you know, through his friends, that's when I met my now wife. That's how I actually got to move to the United States.
Wow. So, Coach Soriano, I mean, yes, all the stuff that you're talking about is wonderful. But let's go back a little bit, because I don't know if I hear you clearly. You say that in the 2000 in the Olympic Games, Australia,
yes,
you were not allowed to participate because you were not looking Australian. Is that correct?
Not allowed in a way, but the chances of me being into the Olympic team is very, very slim.
Wow,
yeah.
Wow. So how devastating that was for you?
Yes, it was. But then again, never give up, right? Doesn't matter what other people say about, you know, your color, your race. Never give up your dream. And pretty much, if, you know, for your listeners, same thing. It doesn't matter if someone tells you that you can't do it, keep going.
Well, no wonder why I've seen you as a very strong person. Every time that I've seen you working over there with your kids and all of that. I mean, but I didn't know anything about this thing. So how did that affect you psychologically in terms of competition? Because you say after that you were not winning anymore.
Yes.
As often as you used to.
Yes.
So is that the reason why you went into psychology?
That's actually one factor, but what got me really more into human behavior was through my business, through trading. I started to learn how to trade in 1998, and there was a behavioral pattern in my own behavior, in my sport, my business of basically trading. I also had a financial business and relationships, and it had the same behavioral pattern. When I lost pretty much almost everything from trading, and then out of nowhere, I no longer wanted as well to no longer be number one. Likewise for my business, likewise for relationships. So basically I found out that I had commitment issues. So I had a trading psychologist in my own business, because I believe in whatever we need to do, if you want to do it correctly, you need someone there, a mentor or a coach. And so there were a couple of things what my coach was telling me, but I didn't understand. And so I pursued more about my belief system. And this is where, from the last money that I had, when I lost pretty much everything, I got into self-development, neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, and excuse me, excuse me, and hypnosis.
Oh, hypnosis.
Yes.
So how will that all work out? I mean, you went to the hypnosis compartment. So how you work out this hypnosis into what you were going through? And why it's important through, not just to you, but also to athletes?
Well, hypnosis is mainly defined as influencing, being influenced by something. For example, daydreaming. Daydreaming is a form of hypnosis, where you get into a hypnotic state. When you're driving, sometimes you don't even realize on how you got home when you're driving. So when the brain gets into an alpha state, as we call it, and then your certain thoughts based on your subconscious, and it goes through it, so you're creating as part of your outer world, if you can say so, and you're also in a dream state. So the importance of self-hypnosis in training, for example, like on a preparation, hypnosis is all combined with visualization and meditation. So part of meditation and visualization, you get into what we call a relaxed state of consciousness, where you're half asleep, but you're not really asleep. And then you start visualizing the movements or the goals that you want to attain. So say, for example, prior to a competition, one of the biggest important aspects to successful performance is not just through physical skill, but also through mental preparation.
And what about for now that you're talking about the hypnotic state?
Yes, sir.
What happens, for instance, when you cannot driving on the freeway and then for no other reason you know that you got to the point that you needed to get, but you don't remember what went through it?
Yes.
So is that part of what you're talking about?
The self-awareness part.
The self-awareness.
Yes, the self-awareness. So when you have a certain, say, a goal that you want to attain, say, for example, you want to be number one, you would be a gold medalist, you want to be a champion, you write that goal, and then you need to see yourself going through all the simple steps that you need to go through, seeing yourself on the third eye view that you actually won the medal. Say, posing on the podium, having your gold medal, it's nice and heavy. So you're using every single physiology part of your body. When I say physiology, the sight, what you can see the colors, the noises around you, say people cheering for you.
The smells.
The feeling of happiness, right? And then through the process on how the person can get there is through the doing part. The doing meaning you're training, you have the motivation to train, you have the passion and desire to win. At the end of the day, it's not about the medal, right? It is about the performance and how you did during that day, to be in the zone.
To be on the zone. So I have a proposition for you. This is a hypothetical question. Let's say per se that at this moment we have from 10 to 20 elite athletes.
Yes.
And you're gonna get them ready for a competition. What would you be saying to these people right now?
So,
or how would you start them?
Beautiful. Prior to competition, I need to prep them, not just the physical aspect, but the mental aspect. I need to know what their goals are, what their intentions. Because if I know what their goals are, then it's easy for me as a coach to see what they want to attain. Because maybe one of them will want to be in the Olympics, one of them will be a world champion, one of them will just be a national champion or the World University Games. So each individual have different intention or goals. But if you're in a group of elite athletes where they're now representing, say, the United States, where there's, 8 to 16 players, each person has a dream to be number one, right? But as coaches, we need to motivate them too, during practice, and just keep on telling that they're doing a good job, they need to train harder. Then each and every week they need to reassess their workload, whether if they accomplish their goals in a shorter time frame, whether if they visualize or they meditated, whether they ate correctly. So everything from the mental, physical, spiritual aspect, and health. Right.
So I guess that's why now the Stanford University team is doing so well. Well, let's go back. I mean, they have outstanding coaches.
Thank you, sir.
But tell us about the process that you guys went through, because and talk to us a little bit about the Stanford team, because I know that the last season you guys did an outstanding job.
Yeah, just to tell you a little bit more about it, we only had 3 black belts and the rest were color belts. And how it worked was that thanks to the head coach, Coach Kitagawa, so we worked, Coach K and I worked so well. And what we did basically is we just drilled them back to basics. Everything is to basics. Drill them basically into the mental aspect. Let them more relax to have fun. And basically telling them that in order to perform is to enjoy within that moment. Not to worry about the medal, is mainly just to have fun within that moment. And so through that process, we won the Western Collegiate Championships. And with the smaller athletes that we had, we came 3rd nationwide. And out of that, we had 2 or 3 athletes that went to the World University Championships. Yes.
And this type of program that you're doing with these elite athletes, I mean, do you need to shape it a little bit, change it a little bit? Are you talking about just athletes that just are not as elite, but they just want to participate on the sport? Yes. So what will be the difference? What type of approach do you have between somebody that is not as talented as somebody that is very talented?
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, good question, Coach. The non-talented ones, we just stick them to the basics on what they know. and we tell them to master those basics, because the non-talented ones cannot do advanced skills, not like the talented ones. So it's all based on skill. So what we did was mainly to let them focus on distance work, speed, and strategy. And for the talented ones, it's so easy for us as coaches because we just tell them what to do and they just do it, right? And then we need more effort for the non-talented ones to give them more support, not just the physical aspect, but also the mental aspect, telling them that they can do it, that they are the best, that nobody can beat.
They're champions.
Bingo.
Wow. And what about, you were talking about getting into the zone. So can you elaborate on that?
Nice. Being in a zone is when the mind, body, and spirit becomes all in one. Meaning that you are so aware of your body, you're so in tune within your environment that you know specifically the move that the other person is going to do before they even do it. It's almost like in a slow motion when you're so focused. I don't know, I bet you've experienced that quite a lot, Coach, where everything's so black when you're so focused. There's nothing around you except for the person in front of you. And that's being in the zone.
Oh, being in the zone. I have experienced a little bit of that. Well, I remember one of the things when I was playing, I mean, I didn't even recognize anybody's faces. The only thing that I recognized is that my friends had a certain color on the sacks.
That's correct.
And
yes.
That was it. That was the only thing. I didn't know what direction I was going, but the only thing that I knew was that we were going to win, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you have experienced that, but that usually takes to come down from that. It usually takes 3, 4, 5 days because I mean you are in such a high that you cannot come back that easily. Do you have the same type of experience?
Absolutely, Coach. One of my mentors, or mainly basically the person I do love, is Abraham Maslow. He's one of the founders of psychology, and he basically said that there's 4 different types of layers in terms of the human psyche. The last one is what we call the conscious competence, meaning that once you have mastered something, everything is just so natural that when you're in the zone, you just feel it. It's a level where it's indescribable. It's an indescribable feeling.
Yeah, let's go. You were talking also about setting goals.
Yes.
How important is the setting of the goals, and what's the process? What type of, do we have, you were talking about the long-term goal, which is winning the gold medal and the world championship or whatever, but what about the other ones? Can you explain about, talk to us about those?
Well, goals are one of the most important elements if you really want to succeed, not just in sports, business, everything. Research shows that people who write their own goals down will succeed more than the person who doesn't. And to create a goal where you need to have a short-term, medium-term, longer-term, the short-term goals, like your daily to-do lists, will lead to the medium-term, which is on the weekly goals. And that medium-term will lead to the longer-term goals. And then when the day of the competition, there's really nothing else to do but just to perform, relax, and just have fun.
And how often do you have to reevaluate the outcome?
Each and every week we need to evaluate each athlete's goals, whether they accomplished it or not. After the competition, we always have a meeting, and then we need to lay out what worked, what didn't work. And then we focus on the what didn't work in order to prepare themselves for the next competition. So it's mainly the how to. So how can you become better for the next competition? So if you made an error, we don't look at it as a bad mistake, but we look at it as a learning curve in order for them to be better, to be the best who they can be as an athlete.
And throughout this process, are the athletes being rewarded?
The reward is job well done.
Job well done.
But there's nothing, like in terms of the reward, is mainly a medal. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, it's even though it's an individual sport, it's a team effort. So what we do is we basically go out for dinner, or have a team social,
Well, the reason why I brought it up is because we live in a society that loves to reward
Yeah.
its people. You know, when you're playing as a 6-year-old or 7-year-old or 8-year-old, you always get a trophy for participating. I mean, how will that send the wrong message just by giving things, by participating instead of giving things because we
absolutely
earn them?
Because at the end of the day, if you're doing that, they can get spoiled. Then that means there's no internal motivation. But if you just tell them like, hey, you know, you did a good job. I think there's more room for you to grow, and at least reverse psychology and said, holy moly, there's more room, and then they will work harder.
Wow, wow. I mean, all of this thing, I think that is very positive, the message that you sent into our community. And I know that there's a lot of kids up there that are going to be able to grab this knowledge and go out there and perform and set up some goals. But guess what? You also talk about visualization, and visualization is something that a lot of educators talk about. So can you talk about, explain it a little bit more?
All right, visualization is a process where you're seeing something in a third's eye view. For example, there are different types of visualization exercises. The very basic visualization exercise is closing your eyes and then making your body nice and relaxed. And then counting and looking at that number in between your third eye, the thing in the middle in between your eyes is what we call the third eye. And you just visualize that there's a blackboard, and within that blackboard, you can include or choose a favorite color. That could be blue, that could be pink, and being overlaid by a whiteboard. And then you can see it, whether it's turning 1, and what color is that? You know, so 1, then 2, 3, 4, then up to 10. Then once you get used to it, this is where now you can start more visualizing on the exact process or the skill that you want to improve on. So say, for example, if I want to work on the move and the guy is attacking me and I want to do a defensive move, then I'm going to see it in slow motion like a video camera, like what's happening right now, right? We're being videotaped, being recorded, same thing. It's being recorded, I can see it, the person's kicking me and I can see the block, and then I'm punching at the same time, right?
And kicking.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you're blocking it.
And I'm blocking it. So when that happens, and then now it goes in real motion, real life, and what's happening now within the subconscious, it's just a repetition mode, and now the muscle is going like, oh, I've seen that before, that's easy. Bam! And all of a sudden you can do it.
Wow, that was watch out, coach. That was too painful. One of the things that worked for me was the only visualization thing that I had was the belief that I was going to play it against Pele one day. You see what I mean? And I needed to be prepared for that. And the other thing was a picture of one of my uncles that was on the wall of my grandparents' house. So I just look at that and think about Pele, and that was basically it. But tell us a little bit more about the trip that you did to China. You were with the U.S. national team.
Yes, fantastic. The trip was excellent. The World University Games is the second best out of basically the Olympics. It's a highly rated competition out of 150 countries, and you're staying in the athletes' village. So you see each athlete, you meet them, you talk to them. And the experience is just a phenomenal feeling. You know, that's why I love traveling. When I used to compete, you know, I always look forward to it, being in the team, because once you're in there, you're just like, wow. So we led one person to the bronze medal, and I had the opportunity to basically coach that person who got bronze. I know she could have done better. As a coach, I'm always very hard, and I think she had the opportunity to get the gold medal if she listened, but unfortunately she was already happy with where she was. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's not about me, it's about the athlete. So I was just there just to support the athlete. My role is just basically the third eye view.
Yeah, so basically her goals were a little bit different for the competition that she was in.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. And let's talk about now you are an author. So
Oh,
what can you
sure.
tell us about the book and why do you get into writing it?
Oh, nice. Well, the book is actually based on my experiences as an athlete, as a coach, and also at the same time a peak performance trader coach. There's no difference in terms of my job as a trader coach and coaching an elite athlete. The only difference is that there's no physical contact. In trading, there's no physical contact.
But there's a money contact.
There's a money contact, but you don't see it, right? But the mental game is still the same.
Still the
so
same,
the
right?
book has been created for the readers that in order to be a successful trader, there's a certain process that you need to do. You need to create goals. You need to know your belief system. You need to know your limiting beliefs based on your versus your supporting beliefs. You need to know your profile, your behavioral profile, whether if your behavior is in sync with the trading system that you're using. So, it is an awesome book that that I haven't seen anything out there. So, and that's the reason why I wrote it.
Well, guess what? I'm going to read it, and as soon as I get some money,
Yes,
I'm going to invite you for a dinner or something like that.
All right.
Yeah, but I need to read it first and find out all the ins and outs of your philosophy, because I think that goes well with your philosophy. Let me see. One of the other things that we used to have issues with is with having to choose a captain. From the perspective of psychology, what can you tell us?
The captain.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the captain is pretty much the captain of the ship.
Yes.
There's certain elements that the captain should have.
Mm-hmm.
One is about attitude. One is about motivation, and a leader, right? To see as a leader, because if they have that quality, then everybody will follow. Unfortunately, there's always going to be one president. There's only going to be one champion. There's only going to be one leader. And in order to be a leader, you need to have those qualities. So the attitude, the signs of being a leadership, showing as well compassion and motivation to others.
So I think that for all of those things to be successful, the environment has to be geared towards that.
Yes.
Well, Coach Reynaldo Soriano,
Thank you.
Coach Reynaldo Soriano, thank you for coming to a program. This is 4D Sports and your host, Jair 40. Thank you for watching.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, you can hold it up.
I just wanted to see what the title was.
Why you could be destined to fail in trading and how you can avoid it. The path of a champion.
Dave,
Thank
how
you.
was it?
That was good. How long did it take you to write this book?
3 years.
Oh, 3 years. When did you first get the idea of writing a book? What was your...
It's your book, right? Because there's really no other books out there that I've actually read.
Isn't this your book?
That it's really designed for the whole population. Because everything is just designed like to sell trading systems, system here, system there. There's some certain trading psychology books, but it's not really designed for a particular person.
Right.
And most psychologists anyway, I'm not saying I'm just too cocky about the way I want to do it as an athlete.
Right.
And to experience what I've experienced as an athlete, also as a coach, is totally different to a person who trades or who has that, what they call it, the certificate.
Wait, so it's amazing though, it's like trading is all mental in mind, but there's no books until yours about how to work your mind and body and soul to trade.
That's it.
All right, cool. We can't wait to read it.
Thanks a lot.